Hello. Today we're going to talk about weight loss and metabolic health. Before I do that, I want to touch on just a little history for you. I've been in the health and fitness domain for about 25 years. When it started for me, I had celiac disease, weighed about 135 pounds soaking wet, and probably only had about 100 pounds of lean body mass, which is pretty low for a male. In the process of recovery, I gained 60 pounds of lean body mass. It's a lot of work. On the flip side of the coin, I've coached my wife, who was type 2 diabetic, who now has that in remission, who has a normal A1C now, came off 6 medications, and dropped 12 dress sizes. So those are just a few sample points of what I hope might give you the sense of the credibility of what I'm going to put forward here on the next few points. Next, we'll talk about then the weight loss and metabolic health. Can a person lose weight and then still be metabolically unhealthy under the hood? Yes, a person can absolutely lose weight and still be metabolically unhealthy under the hood. Here's a deep dive into why that happens, how it relates to inflammation, lipids, the metabolic archetypes, and why a personalized archetype-aligned approach is more effective than generic calorie restriction and exercise. So weight loss does not equate to metabolic health. You can lose weight without fixing root dysfunctions. Weight loss from calorie restriction or exercise alone can reduce fat mass, but it doesn't guarantee improvements in insulin sensitivity, your lipid profile, in other words, HDL, LDL, and triglycerides, inflammation, that's CRP, interleukin 6, TNF alpha, or hormone regulation, such as leptin, cortisol, or thyroid hormones, or organ-specific function, such as liver, pancreas, and adipose tissue signaling. This is because weight loss is an outcome, not a root cause correction. Metabolic function is typically rooted in cellular signaling disruptions, hormone resistance, and nutrient processing mismatches, not just excess energy intake. So what sort of things might stay unhealthy after weight loss? So we're going to look at the markers, why they may stay elevated, and a few pointers on it. First is LDL, especially small, dense LDL, which is more atherogenic. It's still driven by insulin resistance and poor fat metabolism, and that's the reason it may stay elevated. May worsen on high carb, low fat calorie restriction. What about low HDL? That's not fixed by weight loss alone. That actually needs dietary fat and a particular type of exercise. HDL is often low in people eating low-fat or plant-based diets only. High triglycerides. That's driven by liver lipogenesis, fructose, and high insulin levels. It's often unchanged unless carbs are dropped significantly. CRP and inflammation. That's tied to gut permeability and adipose cytokine signaling. That needs a reduction in visceral fat and gut healing. And then there's fasting insulin. That can remain elevated despite weight loss. And it's a key sign of continued metabolic inflexibility. So why it matters, the thin outside, fat inside phenomenon. People can have a normal or reduced BMI and still show high visceral fat, high triglycerides and insulin, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or poor mitochondrial function in the cells. This is especially common when weight loss is achieved without metabolic alignment. For example, through excessive cardio and calorie deprivation or diet mismatch. The metabolic archetypes speak to that. So now we're going to look at metabolic archetypes and the degree of improvement they provide. Different archetypes respond differently to generic weight loss strategies. So next we're going to look at that with, first look at the archetype, the likely weight loss response, the metabolic health response, and some of the reasons. So first is the fat adapted metabolizer. That's the person who is genetically suited for burning fat. So the likely weight loss response is good on low carb, and it's poor on high carb weight loss. The metabolic health response is great if it's aligned to what the fat adapted metabolizer needs: low carb, high fat. The reason it needs fat oxidation support, not just calorie cutting. Next is the carb efficient metabolizer. They're, as it sounds, efficient at burning glucose, not fats. Now they may lose weight on most diets. The metabolic health response might be moderate unless matched to their genetic needs. And they need glucose use, not fat or keto. A dual fuel metabolizer. They have a flexible ability between carbohydrates and fats, not at the same time and not too much. And that'll have a flexible degree of weight loss, and it improves with exercise. The metabolic health response is they often have better health outcomes. It adapts well to mixed training and food. The carbohydrate-sensitive fat store, on the other hand, stores fat very easily. They're typical of feast and famine, and carbohydrates amplify insulin sensitivity problems, such as type 2 diabetes and that. Now, the likely weight loss response is rapid weight loss is possible. The metabolic health response is poor unless insulin drops, and they need carbohydrate restriction and inflammation targeting, reduction of inflammation. The hypermetabolic outlier may lose lean mass. They tend to be a high energy burner. So when you reduce their calories and then add on a lot of exercise, they may lose lean mass. And the metabolic outcome is poor unless strength focus. They need intense stimulus and high protein. A misaligned approach, for example, high carb for a fat adapted individual, may lead to weight loss with elevated inflammatory markers or lipid dysfunction. And exercise type matters too. Exercise improves metabolic health, but the type and intensity matter. So we'll look at the exercise type, the weight loss impact, the metabolic health impact, and a few notes. First, low intensity cardio. The weight loss impact will be moderate. The metabolic health impact is low to moderate. It's good for fat loss, but not inflammation reversal. Strength training. The weight loss impact is moderate. The metabolic health impact is high because it improves insulin signaling, improves HDL, and reduces inflammation. High intensity interval training. The weight loss impact is high. The metabolic health impact is high, and it's best for improving insulin sensitivity. Zone 2 aerobic is effective for mitochondrial function. The weight loss impact is low to moderate. The metabolic health impact is very high, though. It reverses mitochondrial dysfunction and lipid oxidation issues. But you see here, the weight loss impact was low, yet it's very healthy. So the best path is an archetype-aligned strategy. An archetype-aligned protocol looking at diet, plus the type of exercise and the environment, offers faster correction of insulin resistance, more sustainable fat loss, improved mitochondrial function, lab marker normalization, longer lasting anti-inflammatory effects. In contrast, a genetic eat less, move more strategy may leave you appearing healthier by weight alone, while metabolically still inflamed and dysregulated. So in summary, can you lose weight but still be unhealthy? Yes, especially under calorie restriction without metabolic repair. Does weight loss always improve health markers? Not necessarily. Take, for example, HDL, insulin, inflammation may remain poor. Does archetype match intervention improve outcomes? Strongly, by targeting root metabolic traits. Is exercise always helpful? Only if matched to the archetype and includes strength, zone 2, and HIIT. The recommendations. Run your labs post-weight loss and evaluate fasting insulin. Look at your triglyceride to HDL ratio, your CRP levels, your HbA1c, and liver enzymes. Use indirect calorimetry if possible to identify substrate utilization patterns. That means your use of carbs and fats metabolically and efficiently. Apply archetype-matched recovery. In other words, tailor food, training, and lifestyle inputs. Avoid calorie-only interventions. Prioritize metabolic quality, not just quantity. So I hope that helps. Hopefully it raises some questions for you, and I'm here to help you answer them. And if you'd like to know more about the metabolic archetypes and how they can be your healthiest, most efficient and effective method towards health, please reach out. Again, it's at metabolicarchetype.com. Just contact us. Thank you.